Almost everybody out there who can hear my voice is eventually going to care for a parent, a grandparent, or a loved one. Or maybe you're that one that's going to eventually need care. The National Association of Family Caregivers says that 1/3 of the population of the U.S. are already caregivers. Wow. Of those, roughly half of them are feeling down, depressed, and hopeless on a regular basis. That's according to AARP. Many of them will become sicker than the ones they care for, eventually needing a caregiver of their own. Now, the worst part is 30% of these caregivers will actually die before their loved ones do. So says agingcare.com. If you're not a caregiver, just wait. You'll either become one or you'll need one. That's why now is the time to prepare and learn how to become a caregiver, not after tragedy strikes. You see, caregivers need to learn how to become selfish if they want to survive. I know this firsthand. Let me tell you why. My wife Charlene and I had a fairy tale, storybook, romance, courtship, and marriage for the first 21 years of our lives together. We were in love with each other so much, I just knew I had to marry this girl before she got away. We raised our 3 daughters. We got them all out of the house. We even got them married off. All 3 of them twice. I think you're only supposed to pay for the first marriage. We now have 7 grandchildren. And right about the time that my wife and I were supposed to be entering into the empty nest phase of life, where we go wherever we want, whenever we want, don't have to worry about leaving the kids in the house to wreck the place, and we have the freedom and the independence and the finances. One day, my wife complains to me about this bad headache that she had for 3 days. She called it the headache of her life that just wouldn't go away. One day, I realized that actually it was the 4th day. On that 4th day, that headache ceased being only a headache. By the time the ambulance arrived, my wife had suffered a massive stroke, and it left her severely speech impaired and paralyzed on the right side. And in that moment, I was no longer just her husband. I was now her husband and her caregiver. The next 2 years was like a living hell for both of us. I had no idea what I was doing. I made every mistake in the book. Every mistake a caregiver could possibly make. It wasn't on my resume. I didn't even know what a caregiver was. However, I quickly learned that if I didn't become selfish, there was no way I was going to make this thing. I could have ruined my health. I might have even died before my wife would have. I quickly started realizing that I was experiencing the same problems that other caregivers experience. The first one is the guilt. I started feeling guilty all the time, but I quickly realized just because I was feeling guilt didn't mean that I necessarily deserved it. The next big problem that was plaguing me was this feeling that I was always never getting any help. But worse than that, it was because I couldn't even ask for help. I just had it in my mind. If I couldn't do this all by myself, I was a failure as a caregiver. That doesn't look good on a resume. It wasn't long before I started feeling these isolation feelings, like I was all alone in the world. My friends stopped calling, stopped coming by. I don't blame them because I was always negative and complaining when they did. Who wants to be around that? It wasn't long before I just started feeling hopeless and helpless. I remember screaming out, I don't even know who heard me, "I can't take this anymore." I guess I was talking to God. I just went on in my pain because I didn't know what to do. But thank God that somebody invited me to a caregiver support group. I didn't know what that was, but I was desperate, so I went. And everything changed for me. I found people who were just like me, burned out caregivers. I found hope again. I remembered that the airlines tell us in the event of an emergency, put your mask on first before you help your loved one. What an amazing metaphor for all of life. I had to learn that if I didn't become selfish, there was no way I was going to survive this. And if I didn't survive, who was going to take care of Charlene? Let me talk about depression. With all the recent suicides in the news lately, we have to ask this question. If there is depression, is suicide far behind? Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, Robin Williams. These celebrities are no longer with us because they succumbed to that suicidal depression that affects caregivers as well. Yet we don't hear about how many caregivers died in the news, just the celebrities. Another important reminder why caregivers need to learn to become selfish in order to survive this thing, so that their loved ones can continue to receive their care. Everybody asks me, "So how's your wife doing?" And I proudly say, well, because I've learned how to become selfish and put my needs first, she's doing great. She's advanced through the grief process, and she has embraced the new normal and reinvented herself and figured out that if she's still alive, God must still have a purpose for her here on this earth. Now, she still can't talk, but she can communicate non-verbally through Pictionary, charades, two games I hate, by the way, but I'm learning to love. She still can't walk, but we bought her a power chair, and she loves it. She gets to go wherever she wants now. That chair has been all over the world with me, and I have trouble keeping up with it. And anyone who meets her for the first time is thoroughly amazed at how she has a smile on her face all the time and joy in her heart. She's my hero. I am so proud of her. She's like a one-armed wallpaper hanger. And I just don't know how she does it. But because of Charlene, I can now help other caregivers stay alive and stay healthy. I want you to imagine for a moment what the world could look like if every new caregiver was already capable, ready, and healthy, and was easily able to maintain those qualities for as long as they cared for their loved one. If every caregiver can learn to become selfish in order to survive, and if they can really do that, they will become stronger, healthier, and happier, not only in their caregiving responsibilities, but in everything that they strive for in life. I'm living proof. Accent on the living part. Honestly, I promise you, you will not only survive this thing called caregiving, you will thrive, you will be joyful, and you will be the best giver of care to your loved one. I guarantee it. Just remember, whose mask goes on first? Thank you very much.